Hi, ladies. So you should have received your week 9 through 12, I believe, packets. And these are going to be your June packets. So starting June 1st, running through June 26th. So how this is going to work, each week you're going to have a specific topic. So this week's topic is going to be reading and creating line plots. This is all going to be review material. So you'll have one video that's going to last for the entire week. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to kind of talk through reading and creating line plots, and then go through some of the assignments that you're going to see this week. And then you can use this video to help you through the next couple days. So looking at the first two pages, so pages 6 and 7, you'll notice that there are some different visuals for you to refer to. So this first one kind of just goes through what data represents. So each X is one person or one vote. The title tells what we're talking about. And then the data, so these actual X's, means that an X, so data shows it's typical to have one or two pets. So you'll see that right here, the most is one or two pets. These numbers down below represent kind of what it is that you're counting. So this x-axis represents what you're counting, and what you're counting is the number of pets. The scale shows the category amount of, that shows category or amount of each category. So the number of pets being 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then this data means that only one person, this X represents above the 5, that only one person has 5 pets out of all the people that were polled. So again, each X represents one person. So then if you're looking at page 7, you'll notice that there are a couple other charts. These are very similar to the one that you just saw, just a couple different examples. So we have, a line plot shows how frequently something is going to occur on a number line. So the data are these X's, the number line is down below, and the X's just kind of represent how frequently something is going to happen. It also goes through and talks about how each fraction is going to show the amount of sugar that was used. Your numbers along the bottom also are the sugar, cups of sugar in the recipe. And then a couple other options. You've got your title, your x-axis, what it is that you're counting. So the laps that students ran, 2, 3, 4, all the way through 9. X represents the data. And then same thing down here. So these are just some different examples for you to reference if you are maybe a little bit confused as to what it is that each of these X's maybe represent. You can go back and you can look at these problems. So starting on page 8, page 8 is going to be the assignment for June 1st. And then you're going to be using the week 9 work all the way through, I believe, page 13. So pages 8 through 11 are going to be the specific days. You'll see that it's day 2, day 3, day 4. And then on day 5, so on Friday, you'll notice right here it says assessment day, send a picture to Mrs. Babbs. So on these pages, pages 12 and 13, you have a couple of questions. There are 7 questions that you're going to be answering regarding line plots. You'll take a picture of these pages and you'll send them to me either on my email or using the Remind app. So make sure that you're sending these to me so that you can receive your participation. You're also going to be continuing to work on Pierce and Realize. You'll have just a couple of questions kind of as that homework piece as well. So looking at line plots, we'll do a couple of examples for some of the different pages, and then you'll have some independent practice questions that you'll be doing yourself. So looking up, we're on page 8, week 9, day 1. It says a line plot shows data along a number line. Collected information is called data. So we've got our number line here. The data are these dots. Each dot in the line represents one value in the data. So this means that one, I think we're maybe talking about people. So one person walked this amount of time. 1, 2, 3, 4 people walked 1 mile. So the dots represent how many people walked this number of miles. So it says which number has the most dots plotted above it. So which numbers have which numbers have dots plotted above them? So we would only focus on the numbers that actually have dots plotted. So we would not be looking at 3 and we would not be looking at 0 because those do not. So the only numbers that have numbers or dots plotted above are going to be that half, this 1. I'm going to separate them using commas. 1 and 1/2, 2, and 2.5. So these are the only numbers, the only amount of miles that people walked. Now they walked different frequencies. So some people walked 2 miles, some people only walked a half a mile, and you'll notice that the majority of the people walked 2 miles. So number 2 says how many people walked less than 1.5 miles. So less than this amount means that we don't even want to think about that. So it doesn't say that or less than this amount. So you would only focus on the dots that are smaller, above a smaller number than 1.5. So you would notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 people walked less than 1.5 miles. So on these bottom questions, you're going to be using this information. Okay, so let's look at number 3. It says use the table to find how many students spent exactly 5 hours on homework last week. Okay, exactly. And then we'll use the line plot to figure out the number of dots. So exactly 5 would be only the numbers that are 5. Okay, so you'll notice that 3 numbers are 5, so 3 students. And then we can compare that to the dots because whatever we have over here, it should be the same over here. So if we circled 3 5s, there should only be 3 dots above 5. So you'll notice that this matches what's over here. Looking at number 4, actually, I'm going to have you do 4, 5, 6, and 7 independently on this page. So we're going to switch over to page 9, which is going to be day 2 in your packet. So on this page, we're looking at the line plot and we're answering these 7 questions. So it says Susan makes bracelets from glass beads and sells them online. She charges between $5 and $12 for each bracelet, depending on its size and style. The line plot shows below how much she received for each bracelet sold last week. So you'll notice down below, these are the different costs of the bracelets. And then the X's are going to represent how many bracelets were sold for that amount. So you'll notice that we have some X's above 5. So she was able to sell several bracelets for $5. She sold nothing for $6, $7, or $8. 2 bracelets were sold for $9. We have some bracelets sold for $10, $11, and $12. So looking at these questions, again, the X's represent how many bracelets. So on number 1, how many $5 bracelets did Susan sell this week? You want to focus on counting each of those X's because again, the X's represent how many bracelets were sold. So 1 X represents 1 bracelet and we want to focus on that $5 mark. So we want to make sure we're looking at the $5 and counting only the X's above that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the X's represent the bracelets. So there were 8 bracelets sold last week or this week. And then it says, how much money did Susan earn on the $5 bracelets alone? So if she sold 8 bracelets for $5 each, you want to think about how you could solve that using an operation. So each of the 8 bracelets is $5. So if I said this was $5, this is $5, this is $5, we can either use repeated addition or multiplication. So 8 times that $5 is going to give us a total amount of money. So I want you to think about what that would be. And then it kind of goes through some of the other questions. Numbers 3 and 4 are going to be exactly the same as 1 and 2 using the $11 mark. And then how many more $10 bracelets did she sell than the $9 bracelets? You want to focus on maybe what is different. So we want to kind of see if 2 bracelets were sold for $9, how many more were sold for $10? And then how many bracelets did Susan sell in all? That's when we want to focus on all of these X's as a whole, because each X represents 1 bracelet. So we want to figure out how many X's there are to see how many bracelets there are. Okay. And then how much money did Susan earn this week? That's when you're going to use this strategy right here. You want to figure out. So 8 times 5 gave me what? 9 times 2 gives me what? 11 times 3 gives me what? 12 times 1 gives me what? 10 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gives me what? And then you want to figure out that total amount of money altogether. Looking at page 10, this is day 3, June 3rd. This is where you're going to be making a line plot. Okay, so this title section is going to be talking about what it is that you're even working on. So Jeremy's grandfather gave him 12 old wheat pennies to add to his coin collection. The dates on the pennies are listed in the box below. Use the data on the that's above to make a line plot. Be sure to write your numbers on the axis, label the axis, write a title. Each X is going to represent 1 penny. So this could be we're focusing on the dates of the pennies. So you could do whatever you wanted here. You could say this is penny dates, whatever it is that you want. So I'm going to do penny dates. And again, it can be whatever it is that you want. And then down below, you want to make sure that you're figuring out what the smallest is and what the largest is. So we've got 3, 4, 4, 3, 5. So we're probably going to want to start with 1941 because that looks like it is the smallest. And you're going to want to end with 1945 because that looks like it is the largest. And then what you're going to want to do is fill in the rest of these. And then as you're going through, cross off as you use it and put an X above the correct number. Your X-axis is, these can be the years because this is representing the year 1945. This is representing the year 1941. So then you're going to go through, you're going to answer these questions. Minted means when was it made? So how many pennies were made in 1943? How many pennies were minted after? So again, minted means when was it made and what's the date on the oldest penny. So you're going to go through, you're going to fill in the rest of your X-axis, go through X off any of the dates that you use and make sure that you're putting an X whenever you cross it off. On page 11, this is going to be June 4th. And it says organize the data in the table. So by organizing it, you're going to want to create a frequency chart. Okay, so basically this is the number that you have. So you're going to want to figure out what the smallest value is and what the largest value is. So if I had, let's see, 12 and a half, 12 and 1/8. So it looks like 12 and 1/8. So what I would do is I'd put 12 and 1/8 here. And then I'm going to figure out how many times that takes place. So I've got once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Okay, and then after you do that, you're going to put the number of times that it took place. Okay, so you're going to do that with all of these. So then after that, you would go on to 12 and 1/2. And you would do the same thing. You would do your tallies and then you would do the actual number that it took place. And then on numbers 2 and 3, it's asking what the median of the data is. So you can either do it this way, or another way that you're probably going to want to lay this out after you create your frequency chart is you're going to want to list it 12 and 1/8 5 times. So you would list that out 5 times. Then you would go to 12 and a half and you'd continue the list all the way until the very end when you've used all of the numbers. The median is going to be the middle. So what you're going to do is you're going to start at the end, you're going to cross it off, cross one off here, cross one off here, cross one off here. And you're basically just going to go through until you get to the middle number. And that's going to be your median. And then the mode is the one that occurs most frequently. So whichever has the largest number here is going to be the most frequent. And then you're going to actually draw your line plot. Make sure that you have your title, labeling your axis, and going through and actually listing out the numbers and recording the data. On page 12 and 13, this is going to be your assessment page. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to utilize pages 6 and 7. These are kind of your examples. And then you're going to just basically show me what you've learned on pages 8 through 11. So this is going to be kind of those practice assignments. And then pages 12 and 13 are showing me kind of what it is that you understood from our lessons this week. So we still will be meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays for Zoom. So I would really recommend, especially because you'll be working on these assignments on Friday, that you bring any questions that you may have to our Zoom meeting on Thursday, so that you are able to, really do well on these assessment pages. And it's a great time to be able to ask questions in real time. And I don't even mind if you are looking over this and you think you might have a question, that's fine too. You can bring those to our Zoom calls as well. All right, so as always, if there's ever any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. You can reach me on Remind, and you can reach me through email. And we can always set up a time to connect besides Zoom to go through any questions that you might have. So good luck.